Welcome to Made in Papa's Woodshop. This is Seth. That's Papa's Woodshop right there. And today we're going to be working over here off to the side at what used to be the carving tent. The wind had a different idea about it and shredded it the other day. Bent and broke a bunch of my poles. So we got to rebuild here. But today what we're going to look at is how to get set up to carve a great horned owl. So let me get over here and show you the drawings for the great horned owl. These are the different views, the back view and the side view that we're going to be using. I found this drawing by searching for chainsaw carving, and unfortunately this website here no longer exists, but it was wonderful that the pictures were still out there and I was able to get a hold of them. And they're going to really help us to get started here. Now today I'll be using, to do this carving, we'll be using my Forester chaps. They'll protect my legs, thighs, ankles. Got a pair of mechanics gloves to help protect my fingers. This is the No Cry brand of protective gear for your eyes and your ears. And then my favorite toy here is the CS3510 Echo. It's actually a climber's saw, and I've put a 12-inch bar on it to keep it short so I can keep the saw in my power range, keep my elbows in. And I chose the one with the back handle rather than the top handle, which is probably better for tree climbing, because the one that's in the back allows me to manipulate the saw better with just a little bit of twist of the wrist. And so the whole thing fully gassed up, fully oiled up is about 9 pounds. So that works good for me right now. My forearms still scream from the workout, but the lighter is the better. Okay, so what happened here is I measured from the drawings over here and figured out, see, each of these little boxes is an inch. So the owl itself, I needed 23 inches here from the top of the drawing to the bottom of the tail. And then I just needed plenty of room down here at the bottom. So I measured down 23 inches over here on my piece of stump here. And then I cut a ring around the bottom at 23 inches. And then cleaned all the bark off of it. Now normally when I'm blocking, I don't need to take the bark off of it, but in this case the diameter is so close. You can see here it's only 9 inches this direction and it's only 10 inches this direction. But when you get over here and look at the drawing, I see it here, it calls for 10 or 11 and a half this way for the side view, and then you come over here to the back view and I'm going to need 10 inches. So I'll use the wider part of the log for this view and then the narrower part here. So I'll probably be able to just curve the back wings in just a little bit and I can get it in the 9-inch part of the log. And then here on the 10-inch part of the log, down here toward the bottom, the log actually gets wider. So I'm gonna need 11 and a half inches. And what I discovered was, as I came down through here, you can see it gets a little wider at the bottom. So I wrapped a tailor's tape, which is this cloth. I keep this in my pocket because I can wrap it around something and be able to get a circumference better. I got the circumference, I keyed it into a conversion calculator on my phone. I just searched, went into DuckDuckGo and searched for calculator from circumference to diameter, because I clearly can't stick my tape measure through the log and figure out how wide it is. And I was like, do I really have 11 and a half inches? Am I gonna be good by the time I get down to that point? Because what's gonna happen down here is the back feathers will be way out here. So it won't have to be as wide up here as it is down here because this will, the head will be, and then the back will come down through here. And it's like, well, maybe I've got 11.5 inches here. So I measured the circumference, did the math, and it turns out to be almost 11 inches in diameter right there. So I'm not gonna have to make much adjustment to the art at all, because you can see here, it's 11.5 inches. And the issue is right here where the back of the owl comes out. So I'm gonna make him stand up a little bit more, and so that this portion of the back of his wings is a little more straight up and down, and this tip here will be a little more tucked underneath, so that I can get rid of that 1/2 inch this direction and still make him look very realistic. So how do I proceed from here? Well, as you could see from my earlier shot up here at the top, I measured it each direction, and then tried to do it at 90 degrees. And as I got to working on it, I realized I wasn't quite at 90 degrees. So I redrew it, and then I draw a line down what's going to be the center of one of the views. And then I come over here at 90 degrees and draw a line all the way down of what's going to be center of the other view. Now back over here to the drawing. You can see there's a darker blue line. Well, maybe you can't tell the difference here on the camera, but there is a darker blue line that runs right down the middle of the side view, and there's one, ooh, that's a lot easier to see, right down the middle of the back view. So what that'll give you is the opportunity to measure out on both sides and see how wide he is at any point. You can measure down the number of inches and say, hey, where's the beak supposed to be? Where does the ear really go to a tip? How wide is the face at the widest place? How far apart are the ears? How far apart are the eyes? How long is that beak? You can answer all of those questions by looking at the grid. Each box is 1 square inch. And for example, how I get started here making the drawing is I counted down the number of inches from the top of his the horn. It's actually his ears, but from the very top came down the 23 inches. And look here, see, this is we could say it's 1.5 inches on both sides of the center line. Not exactly, it's actually 3 inches total, but I like to keep it dead center so that I can mark more accurately. So what I did is I came over here to that place on the view and I measured down 23 inches, which is, this is the center, and the very bottom of the great horned owl will be the tip of that tail right here at 23 inches. Measured over 1.5 inches on both sides, and then scooped it up just a little bit with the magic marker. Now what I'm gonna do next is make several measurements and several points that I get from here and draw them on the log. And I like to equate this to playing music by reading music as opposed to playing by ear. Some guys, and I hope to be this good one day, can just look at this log, stick their chainsaw in there, and just go for it. I need some music to read. So I'm going to draw the great horned owl over here on this side, the back view, and then I'll draw the side view over here. His face will be up here. And what will happen is that I will block it out from the front first. And when I do that, what I have drawn over here will get mostly cut off. Well, then I'll draw it back in and block it from this side. And when that happens, a good deal of my sketching on this side will get cut off. And back and forth I'll go, reading the music until the owl begins to emerge. I just keep cutting away what is not owl until the owl appears. And then when I get it blocked down good and tight, I'll start using my angle grinder. And when that is no longer precise enough, then I'll switch over to the Dremels. So that's going to be the method that we're going to use here for this. As I get further down, I made a little mask so I can see how far apart the eyes are, and I make dots. I made 2 cuts here for either side of the beak to get a feel for where the tip was, how far apart it would be. So that I needed the tip here, and then I needed the outside edge of how wide it was here, and then I could draw the rest of it in with great accuracy. And then this one, I built this one the last great horned owl I did, so that I could get a 3-dimensional approach to it. And when I get that far along, if I need some more help with the exact nature of some detail, then I'll go ahead and rework that so that the 3D stands out. And that's how we're gonna get started carving the great horned owl. Here pretty soon, I'll post a video of the rest of the process, but I wanted you to see exactly how you could pick a drawing, pick a log, get your equipment together, and go ahead and get started drawing the thing out. And I made this one primarily because when I first got started, it was a really nerve-wracking thing for me to figure out, how in the world, where do I stick my saw? And what if I just make firewood out of this? This is making me crazy. And I decided that I would rather take the time, measure and draw and cut, measure and draw and cut, than to be scared that I was gonna ruin it. I don't know about you, but logs are not easy for me to come by. And so even though I have a whole pile over here, a couple of piles, I've been collecting them for some time, and they were a lot of work to go get. Thanks to my father-in-law here for a nice trailer to go get things with. But that was the whole point, was to let you see how you can get started with something and ditch the fear of turning it into firewood and it just being something ugly. Hope you've enjoyed this, and soon will be coming the rest of the carving. Thanks for joining me at Made in Papa's Woodshop.